Maple Leafs win the game 3-1, but they wind up causing that kind of a stir that will grab headlines, and that shouldn't. What should have been the story tonight was the strong play that the Toronto Maple Leafs put on the New Jersey Devils to even this series. But what will be remembered more is this awful elbow to the head of Scott Niedermayer. He lay motionless for a moment flat on the ice, and the officials didn't blow the whistle right away. I don't think they realized the gravity of it as you did by looking. There was a 2-on-none break. Ironically, Domi was the guy carrying the puck in. But eventually, it appeared that one of the referees, Paul Dvorsky, was talking to Kevin Collins, the linesman. He may have been the one who saw it and, in fact, called the match penalty. We're just guessing from what we were able to watch at that time. But on a night which should be greatly thrilling to the Maple Leafs fans, and some of them were still cheering at the end, and that's what fans do. It is a sickening thing to see. And we are just hopeful that that our penalty killing in the post-game show here will enable us to, at least before we leave, give you some kind of condition on Scott Niedermayer. He was at the open gate, and fortunately, it was possible for team physicians, for the Maple Leafs and eventually for the Devils, to get to him, to see that he was flat on his back and had been rendered there by Domi, was stabilized to the point where they could keep him still, so that eventually they could lift him and put him on the stretcher and get him off the ice. So a difficult night for the Devils in terms of the way the game was played. A joyful night for the Maple Leafs going into the final minute of play. Domi had been a positive player in this contest, deserved to be out at the finish or maybe even in the first 30 seconds of the last minute. But then he totally wiped out anything that would have been positive about his appearance in this game at all tonight, with the shot that he took on Scott Niedermayer.
Well, what's most disturbing to me, Doc, and we're going to watch it again here. Now, here's Scott Niedermayer, and Domi, I believe, is up here. So watch what happens. And watching that last replay, what's disturbing to me is Scott sees Domi, and he does not react. He's going to go a little wider. And it was such a late attack by Domi, Doc, that Niedermayer was defenseless. And
yeah, I guess he just suspected that there's nothing that's going to come from this. I'll just skate by. I mean, you wouldn't even anticipate that something would come out of the back of Domi's heart. He has to care about the sport. He's played the sport. He makes $1 million a year at the sport. He has to care about it. But the intriguing thing is that can sometimes all get lost in the hopes of taking one more shot, one more hit that sends a guy off the ice on a stretcher. Hard to understand.
Yeah, it really is, Doc. And for Tie Domi, he may have been at the pinnacle of his career tonight with the role that he had and how well he was playing. And, you know, I obviously he'll be asked this. And I'm just curious, when he had time as he came over the blue line and he saw it with Scott Niedermayer. And I know in hockey we sometimes want to give a message for the next game. And I could see if he would have given him one in the chest or in the arm or even, like I said, try to hip check him. But Ty knows how hard those elbow pads are. That's worse than a punch of any sort. Well, and to do that, it's just, I'm just speechless, Doc, to think of what must have been going through his head for him to do that. I can't imagine.
I think the other thing, too, is that the fact that it is 10:05. So here we are again. We had a game that was thrilling, exciting for the home team. In the Eastern time zone, this thing is going to be on every sportscast tonight. It's going to wind up in all of the early morning papers as well as the late ones. No one's going to miss this. And it's going to reinforce in a lot of people's minds once again that hockey can be thuggery. And in this case, it was. We have had 58 games played going into tonight, 3 fights in 58 games. People are now being convinced by all of us talking that this doesn't happen much anymore. And those who don't like it can rejoin the game. Those who do like it will wait for the time when it does happen. But when you have something like this, it's going to reasonably lead to the various telecasts tonight. It may be even in the news area of some telecasts too. And unlike the great goals that were scored in this game and the one between St. Louis and Dallas tonight, it is not the kind of thing that any of us that really love this sport would like to see headlined. But there it is. And it is not the fault of his coach. It is not the fault of any players on the ice who trusted that there would be nothing happening. It is the fault of just one guy.
Yeah, you're right, Doc, and we hope for two things, of course, that Scott Niedermayer is going to be okay and everything will check out well. We understand he's on his way to the hospital, and we hope also, I have to say this, that Tie Domi gets suspended for quite a while.
Larry Robinson downstairs, press conference. Let's listen.
Any degree on that?
League will handle it, but I don't. Well, at least we shouldn't see him back in this division anyway, or this series. No room for that.
Understand why someone does that?
There's no room for that in hockey. Trying to sell a sport, and it's not the way you sell it. I'm surprised at Ty too. Play it rough like he did the first part of the game where he's getting his hits. And anything about the game?
Your thoughts on the game?
We had some great chances, early on in the game. Could have made a big difference. We had a breakaway. Madden had a breakaway. We had a couple chances on the power play, and we didn't make the most of our chances. And they had a couple of chances and scored on them. That was the difference.
You had a chance to really put them behind the eight ball. Was it a lack of killer instinct?
No, I thought I thought we played extremely well in the first period, and like I said, we had some chances early, and we didn't capitalize on them, and that was the difference.
What prompted you to change the lines?
Well, they were trying to match Corson's line against Gomez, and I thought that probably Arnie did a pretty good job against, because Corson was against him before, and he's a bigger, stronger guy, and just tried to move people around to give us a better chance with their line matching.
So Larry, missed it off the top. How is Scott doing right now?
I have no idea. I haven't seen him.
What do you think of the moves?
No, it actually worked out pretty good. It was right off the bat. Chimo and Patrick had a nice 2-on-1 off of a turnover, and we had some very good chances. Arnie had a great play on the wraparound, and even Gome had a couple of chances. So I think overall it worked out pretty good for us.
Are you worried about Scott Stevens getting a little bit too overexcited at this point with the way the series is going, the rough stuff?
No. Anything else?
Did you actually see the play that towards the end? I mean, there was some perception that not everybody on the bench
you
saw
could see
it.
it.
Yeah.
League will look after. Okay.
Yeah, and that's enough. And any questions about the game, it was appropriate for him to ask, because they're really anything that, and I've stood in scrums like that before, and you come in and you're so diverted in your attention too, let alone what the athletes have felt, that you have to think to make up something. Oh, what happened in the game? And and that's the unfortunate nature of what went on here tonight. So we are still hoping to have some information for you, and we have people down below, and if there's any information, Matt and Stan are going to get it and pass it along. Pertinent, not to Tie Domi. We know the league's taking care of that, and it's probably the last he'll be playing in this series, but more on the condition of Scott Niedermayer. Our coverage of the Devils and Leafs series will continue in a moment.